As more and more sourcebooks come out, D&D options are gradually becoming more powerful, to the point where I'm beginning to see various sourcebooks and character options be limited in people's pitch for their online games. Rangers in the base game had only 2 subclass options, and they were both terrible. You could either deal damage, or have an animal ally that doesn't scale and doesn't really do anything. As more and more sourcebooks are released, Rangers have become considerably more powerful, getting optional features like Favoured Foe that replace the awful outdated feature like Favoured Enemy, and new subclasses that can do so much like Loomstalker, which lets you ambush and stealth, or the Horizon Walker, which lets you teleport around and strike people, or the Monster Slayer, which is just a way more interactive and fun version of Hunter. And it's not just restricted to the Ranger class, most classes have suffered from extreme power creep. Compare the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer to the Wild Magic Sorcerer, or the Way of the Astral Self Monk to other monk subclasses, or Barbarian's Path of the Zealot to literally anything else in the game. It's not just classes either. Newer races get so many abilities and resistances, whereas pretty much the coolest thing any of the base races could do is sleep faster or cast Hellish Rebuke once. But here's the thing, stronger subclasses and races are a good thing. Sure, the general balance of the game suffers a bit, but even the base game had a massive disparity between classes. Monks can do so much while carrying literally nothing. Wizards get such a massive selection of spells that let them fill most roles, and rogues and paladins deal a ridiculous amount of damage, and certain feats like Lucky just completely break any semblance of balance in the game. Dungeons & Dragons is not a balanced game, and that's not a bad thing. Every time a new sourcebook releases, I talk to people who are so excited to try out new options or play as new characters, and I don't blame them. Being strong, having lots of options, and being able to do lots of different things may be very strong, but it's also really fun, and at the end of the day, isn't that what D&D's about? So does balance matter at all? Of course it does. Just because a game isn't balanced doesn't mean there aren't limitations we put into the game to keep it challenging and fun. Spell slots, limited ability uses, and hit dice are all part of this attempt to keep the game balanced. If an ability is really fun, but also so strong and outshines or removes the reason to play other classes, limiting abilities in these ways is a great way to change abilities without having to shift the core concepts, and it's fantastic. We can reduce the amount of dice you roll, give you only a few uses of the ability per long rest, or balance the ability in other ways. I've started a new campaign recently, and a few of the players brought forward homebrew they wanted to play, races, classes, and subclasses. I felt that every single homebrew that I saw was way too strong, but I didn't want to restrict what my players could play. After all, my favourite Matthew Colville quote of all time is,
"But John can see the players are into it. He doesn't want to say no. Where's the fun in that? You can not be the heir to a Dwarven kingdom in any game."
The easy answer when I see a race that does everything an Aarakocra or Tiefling does, put together, and then twice as good, could be, no, you can't play that race. Or if I wanted to take the time, and I did take the time, I could put limitations in the race, restrict abilities to short mounts per day, hold back certain abilities until you reach certain levels, and etc. On this note, one of my favourite races of all time is the Grung. You get so much off so little. You can breathe underwater, jump further, you get complete immunity to poison damage and the poison condition, you get proficiency in perception, anyone that touches you gets poisoned, and if you make an attack with a piercing weapon, it deals extra poison damage. This is all on top of still getting the regular stat increases. This may seem like way too much, but then if you begin to look at the other things Grung gets, it makes more sense. Their speed is reduced to 25 feet instead of the usual 30, they need to be submerged in water for at least an hour every day, and they don't even get common as a baseline language. The Grung get so much, and yet you lose some core features when playing them in exchange for this. Obviously the race could just have less features, and still no common, and not need to rest in water, but all these extra options make the game so much more fun. I think newer and weirder character options make the game fantastic, and seasoned players like myself get so much more excited at a unique subclass with strange mechanics. Even if it's stronger than all the other options for a class, it's so much better than a well-balanced and boring subclass. Making subclasses balanced would be easy, but that'd be so much less unique and fun. Sure, the Astral Self Monk is just straight up better than nearly every other monk subclass, but maybe that should be our new goal for monk subclasses. Instead of restricting the fun so that it fits some semblance of what we like to call balance, in a game where balance isn't really that important. Overall, I think fun is such an important factor in Dungeons & Dragons, and balance is something that for the most part can just be thrown out the window. Sure, a monk using Stunning Strike on your entire encounter might be a little bit strong, but you could always make it cost 2 key points if it really bothered you that much. Just don't take away what makes the players have fun.